It's 4:15 and I'll call the meeting to order. Would you please rise and join me as the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen. Roll call. Sam Martin. Martha Eldridge. Rick Morgan's here. Public input. Anybody have anything on the public input? Ash?
Yeah. So, a quick question regarding now that the town has taken over the water commission and water and sewer in town, and I'll really mainly about Jake here, but he's brought up a really interesting thing. Through his building process, it's come to fruition that he needs to be on the commercial rate for water, which seems crazy to me, and I need some clarification, but I thought that commercial rate was really put in place for the school because they use an exorbitant amount of water. Can you shed light on that?
Brad, I'm going to have you take it in a minute, but I think you're thinking two different things.
Okay.
At one point, there was some sort of a special rate which was set up for only town hall and the school, which we put a stop to several years ago. But that was it wasn't a commercial rate. But Brad, take it.
Yeah, that was I believe they categorized that as like I said, it was for the large commercial water usage people. It was a user fee type thing that they had on there. It was a lot of money. I can't remember just what it was. It was in the, if I remember right, you were here then, Martha, it was like around $3,000, $3,400 a year,
yeah.
something like that. I don't believe the laundromat down there was charged that. I think Bo and I spoke about that earlier. I don't know if he's still in the back here or left. He's looking back at his records. He doesn't believe he was charged that. That's something we're also want to address when we're redoing our.
What about the laundromat?
They're not charged that. They don't use that amount of water up there. The one down at the bottom of the hill, they're talking about Jake's, it was a much larger one that used a lot more.
Is the commercial rate more than, I presume, than the regular rate?
Considerably. Yeah, drastically.
More use of water or more base rate?
Space rate. More
Base
base
rate.
rate.
The base is like $3,400 a quarter for commercial, whereas historically it's been charged $58 a quarter,
residential.
and then the $583, or well, obviously it changed over the last few years, but the $583 per thousand.
Yes, the department says, just by the fact that it's a laundromat, you're going to use a hell of a lot of water. You're going to pay a lot of water bill, but based on usage.
But the way that the rate structure is made, it's the first 200,000 gallons of water are not charged. The base rate covers that. So then you're on commercials. Then you don't get charged until you get over 200,000 gallons at the $583 per thousand rate.
Whereas on
So you
the
get the first
residential side,
200,000
on the residential side, you get billed from gallon one.
Yes.
It's 5,000.
Correct.
You have to look back at the rate structure. So there is a base rate. And then
I think the base rate covers the first 5,000 gallons.
Base rate. There's a base rate, and then you charge from the gallons.
Yeah.
First gallons, right on through. There's a cert rate, $58, $60 somewhere around there.
Right.
There's a base rate that is like $58 somewhere around there. At least it was a few years back.
Yeah.
And then they're charged from that per gallon all the way through.
Yes.
Commercial rate was, at the time, it was $25,000. It's gone down considerably. I think it's $12,000 now per year, if I read it correctly. And that's up to 200,000 gallons. Anything after that, you get charged the regular base rate, which is $5 and
83 cents.
but
Do you
per
have
gallon.
an idea on what you anticipate for using for water testing?
I do. I don't have it on me, but I have historical data from that building.
Do we know what historically about the property?
I'm sure we can look it up. I don't have it on the top of my head right now, but I'm sure we have the records up there that would show that what the gallon usage was per quarter when they were operating, so.
The reason I'm standing here is because Jake had come to our meeting last week and brought a few things of concern up to us, and how his experience has been in trying to get a business started in this town. And it hasn't been a great story so far. He's about 4 or 5 months into getting his business going, and seems to be a hurdle every so often to slow him down. And I just didn't want to let this go by, because since the water and sewer has come under the purview of the selectmen, it's important that understanding what's going on as a business owner coming into this town, trying to start a business, it should be really easy. And as a laundromat, of course, it's very dependent on water, but I think it would, in my opinion, it should really be up to him how he wants to go. I would want to see it per gallon to start and go, holy cow, I used that? Okay, well, let's get onto a commercial plan. Or, at least take into consideration the equipment is a lot newer. He had mentioned to me just now that those washers down there use 14 gallons per cycle. His new ones only used about 2.5 or 3 gallons. So, I mean, there's going to be considerable savings just based on technologies today. So I just want to put it under the purview of the selectmen.
And that's fine. We have had some preliminary discussion about rates. We have not, how many people do we have paying a commercial rate on the system right now?
Not many. I think it was basically, there were 3. I think it was the town hall, the town, the school, and the laundromat when it was open.
That's it.
That's it.
I think that, I don't know what the status is, quite frankly, with the school, but I know that the town's portion of that is gone. We're no longer paying a commercial rate. I mean, we're paying for what we use, which I am a huge supporter of.
I believe the school does pay the rate, the commercial rate. I think it was negotiated down a little lower than what was on the books.
Yeah.
So,
And the school, again, is a very different animal than town hall. I mean, you're talking about several bathrooms, you're talking about hundreds of kids using the school. That's a
Feeding 350.
yeah, every day. Any thoughts, Sam?
No, still I see that, so he wouldn't fall under this one.
No, because it's already connected. We were just actually met with the water and sewer about new hookups a little earlier.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Didn't Dollar General just hook up?
Yes.
How did that go about? They pay a rate?
No,
So they don't pay a commercial rate either?
no, because they have a bathroom. I mean, it's, and that's where I'm saying, I don't, at this juncture, I don't think it's fair to charge the commercial rate until we revisit, and I want to make sure that everybody understands, we are going to be revisiting rates as a whole. But I don't think it's fair to single out any one business with a commercial rate at this juncture.
I was going to suggest maybe what we should do is look at the history of what the laundromat's been using down there, and Jake and I and Bo should probably sit down and get together, go over all of that, what's been done historically, then come back and sit down with you guys and say, okay, this is, what we've been using, this is how it's been in the past, stuff like that, and see if we come to agreement as to how to move forward with the rates and stuff on that.
I don't have a problem with that, but if I'm not missing something, you don't think you're going to use 200,000 gallons of water a quarter?
I don't think, talking about, I don't believe they've been charged that large user fee either when they were still operating a few years ago. We seem to indicate that that wasn't on the books, that they were being charged that $3,400.
My understanding is that past laundromat was not charged a commercial rate, and it was the normal residential rate.
Well, and that's what I'm saying, if we have not established a commercial rate for every commercial entity that's on that system. I mean, Ash, you're on the water system, I presume.
Thousands of gallons, but
No, but I mean, you're charged just like if it were a house, based on what you're using.
that's right.
And I think until such time as we revisit all of the rates, and we may well establish a commercial rate, I think it needs to be charged for what water they use. And do it as a regular base rate. And hopefully you don't use what you think whatever you think. From our standpoint, hopefully you use 500,000 gallons. But Anybody
I
want to add
agree
anything?
with you. No, I agree with what you're saying.
So we will rectify that, okay? And we will be revisiting the rates as a whole once we get all of the meters in and get a better handle on what we're pumping versus what we're billing. Okay?
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Secondly, I've had a few businesses come to me asking how they can apply for the tax incentive program. And I'm wondering if, I think it's pretty fresh right now. I'm guessing the selectmen don't have an application for that process yet.
So yes,
I'm right about one thing.
you are.
I believe there is a standard application. Todd Hayward, the assessor, was looking into it last Wednesday, so
Okay.
I will find out from him what he found out on Wednesday.
Yeah, we need to get that in a hurry. So if we make that a priority for him and we'll get that out, get it on the town website, and get it available. Okay? Anybody else have anything else under public input before we go into the red folder? We have the minutes of the Selectmen's work session and a non-public session which occurred on Monday, March 26th. I make a motion, we accept them as printed. All in favor? Aye. We have the minutes of the actual Selectmen's meeting which occurred on Monday, March 26th. I make a motion, we accept them as printed. All in favor? Aye. We have the minutes of the Ossipee Economic Development Council, which are here in the folder if anybody'd like to look at them. We have the check voucher totals. Payroll for week ending 3/31 with taxes and benefits, $147,891.51. We had accounts payable week ending 3/24 in the amount of $11,943.79. We made a school payment of $490,363 for a total dispersed last week of $650,198.30. Additionally, we had water and sewer accounts payable, which we track separately, in the amount of $15,347.29. I make a motion to sign it. All in favor? Aye. These are the check voucher totals. There's a multi-tiered process where the bills are approved, but this is when they're finally put into batches and have to be signed. It also may seem at times that we're really flying through this folder, but individually, we've all had a chance to read all of this material before the meeting. Holy smokes. And if I missed any, I'm sure you'll find them for me. We have a payroll reimbursement request for water and sewer last week, $3,208.79. I make a motion we sign.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. We have a supplemental warrant, instruct the tax collector to collect $84. I make a motion we sign it.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. We have a notice of intent to excavate. This is on map 266, lot 7. I know whose it is.
It's,
R. Sampson. Taxes have been paid. I make a motion we approve it.
second.
All in favor? Aye. We have a notice of intent to excavate. Again, R. Sampson, this is map 130, lot 10. Taxes have been paid. I make a motion we approve it.
Second.
All in favor?
It's Boston
Aye.
Senior Road.
Oh yeah, Boston Sand and Gravel, Ossipee aggregates. We have a application for a veterans credit, which has been reviewed by the assessor. If the person meets the requirements, I make a motion, we approve it. All in favor? Aye. And again, for a veterans credit, assessor reviewed it, person meets the requirements, I make a motion, we approve it. All in favor?
Aye.
We have a report of timber cut. This is on and allows and for our tax collector to collect $503.93. I make a motion, we approve it. All in favor? Aye. Now it requires signatures in 2 cases. Another report of actual timber cut, instructing the tax collector to collect $3,861.25. This is off map 259, lot 19. Make a motion, we approve it.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Another report of actual timber cut. They didn't cut any, so we're gonna collect $0.00. Make a motion, we sign it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
There's another closeout on the timber. They didn't cut anything, collect $0. Make a motion, we sign it.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Everybody loves a paper trail. This is a report of timber actually cut. Nothing was cut. Collect $0. Make a motion, we sign it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
This is a supplemental warrant to allow the tax collector to collect $84.00. We've already signed. The contract for use of facilities, UNH Cooperative Extension 4-H wants to use the Town Hall gym. Schedule's been okayed. Make a motion, we approve it.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. We have a notice of intent to excavate. This is on map 124, lot 23. This is a Coleman concrete. Taxes have been paid. I make a motion, we approve it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We have a purchase order. This is the last of the equipment for the 2 new cruisers that were approved at town meeting. The Diamond Ledge Electronics in the amount of $6,800. I make a motion, we sign.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. We have an excavation tax warrant authorizing the tax collector to collect $413.68. I make a motion, we sign.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. We have a notice of intent to excavate. This is on map 231, lot 1, Arches Pond Road. Ambrose is the pit. Taxes have been paid. I make a motion, we sign.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Notice of intent to excavate. This is on map 231, lot 23, Doors Corner Road, Berry Pit. Taxes have been paid. I make a motion, we sign.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. We have a request for a clerical abatement. This is on map 29, lot 1, sub A12. The incorrect owner was billed for this camper this particular campground left prior to the 2017 tax season. It's the same $84, which we just did a supplemental warrant on. Make a motion to sign.
So,
All in favor? We have a note here from the Conservation Commission. On March 26th, Crystal Eldridge was appointed to serve as an alternate to the Conservation Commission. Following the reappointment of Lori Pendavis and James Dolan to the commission, there is still one vacancy on the 7-member commission. He called Crystal to see if she was interested in serving as a full member, and she is. He recommends she be appointed to fill the commission vacancy and advertise the opening for an alternate. You're willing to do that? Awesome. I make a motion that we appoint Crystal Eldridge to be a full member of the Conservation Commission.
second?
All in favor? You will have to stop in and see Kelly so you can get sworn in at some point, okay? But thank you. And can you make sure and get on the town website that we're still looking for an alternate? I noticed that our executive counsel is going to be here, but he's here. How are you?
Doing well, thank you, sir.
We got a correspondence from a fireworks company looking for information on whether or not they can put in a proposal. Can we get this relayed?
It's going to the hospital.
Okay.
It shouldn't be.
Okay, it'll get stuck in here too. I got a copy of a check showing that we got a check for $312.24 from Northeast Recovery for scrap metal. We have a letter from DES regarding White Pond. Brad, have you had a chance to review this?
I just glanced at it, I didn't read it thoroughly, but I think it's basically a review of what our meeting was down there.
Well, it is and it isn't, and what I'm still not completely clear on, are they suggesting that every time we do road maintenance down there, that we have to pull a DES permit?
That's not what I got from our meeting with that gentleman there.
Because that's what it sounds like in this letter.
He said if we did anything within the town right of way, we would not need to be involved in any permit process.
But
That's,
the letter does. If you read
says
the
something
letter,
different,
it says something.
okay. Up to,
That's the fact that one, we need to clarify.
Right.
And two, if that is the case, then my vote would be that we would fight that until the very bitter end. I mean, it is a town road that happens to abut a public body of water.
I'll go through it. I do have, I was given a copy of that, I just looked at quickly today.
Will you
read through it
and
respond.
And I would really like it in writing, that we get some resolution on this in terms that we can all agree to and understand. Because if that's what they're asking for, that isn't gonna fly. Yeah, did you mention that issue down at the Fish and Game, by the way?
Yes, I did. I mentioned it to Fish and Game and also the chair of Department of Public Works Committee, who said that he would contact DOT to find out about the other issue, which was the apron. So
Okay.
yes, I did mention that.
Appreciate it, thank you.
I'm still waiting for an answer back, though, official answer.
Joe, maybe just to bring you up a little bit, are you familiar with White Pond down Grant? There's a public access there. It happens to be at the very end of our road. We did some repair work down there on our road, and have been notified subsequent to that by DES that they were requiring that we would file a wetlands impact permit. I guess because water runs downhill and ends up in the pond. It turns out that the ramp is owned by a now defunct part of DOT. It's not owned by Fish and Game, so there's nobody maintaining the ramp. And when we tried to do something, I guess we got ourselves in trouble with DES. Brad, can you fill in the blanks any on that?
That's pretty much the basics of it. And then Ellen and I met with gentleman Jeff, I had his name in front of me, I don't think I couldn't pronounce it, so it's too many consonants in the name, but, that meeting I thought went fairly well. We came up with an understanding and stuff like that. Then according to this letter that, Rick just mentioned here, it's, they're saying something different than what was said at the meeting as far as permitting and, what we can and can't do down there. So it's kind of, up in the air right now as to what can and can't be done down at this ramp here. Like our inclination right now is to not maintain it, you know, the access on the state DOT part of it at all until something is, you know, figured out between us and DOT and Fish and Game. And when we left the meeting, we were of the understanding we could maintain our road and turn around there and stuff like we have been without, you know, any DES permits, so that's what we're gonna look into.
So just a couple of things. Let me stand up. I'll be meeting with Fish and Game Director Glenn Normand on Wednesday. I'll bring it up to his attention. I'm also going to be bringing the DOT Commissioner on the road here in April, so maybe we can do a site visit with her.
Super.
And get her on site to take a look at it, and I'll also talk to Commissioner Scott at DES to find out, you know, what's going on there. So we're going down different rabbit holes, but I can get them all together to start communicating. And do you have a certain timeline that you'd like to work within to try to get this resolved?
I believe they've given us until the end of April to file.
Basically, DES is saying that we must file this after the fact permit, which we don't think we have to do to start with. So it's a kind of a current issue.
So what I'll do is I'll work with Ellen, get that permit number, call DES, try to resolve it, and then get DOT on site, and then also try to get, you know, the Fish and Game Director on board. Because what we're finding is a lot of these nuanced situations throughout these small towns that have been just existing forever. And then, you know, DOT kind of loses sight of it, or there's a new commissioner, or, so we just got to put some spotlight onto the issue and try to get it resolved. So we'll do that.
Thank you. But it sounded like actually that the state owns it. DOT of some sort owned it. So Fish and Game has never been responsible for maintaining that ramp.
They only stop the pond. They use the ramp to stop.
But what? But Fish and Game can't, by their own rules, they can't stop a pond that doesn't have public access. Because they'd be doing it with taxpayer-funded fish. So, thank you. If you could help, that'd be appreciated.
Absolutely.
So we'll set that aside for now. Brad, we also did receive a letter from Environmental Services on this is on the covered bridge. You're all set with everything that was in here?
Yep.
Because it didn't make a lot of sense to me, to be honest. I read it twice. But you're all set with what they require?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see if anybody'd like to look at it. We have a letter from Charter Communications regarding changes in programming, which is here if anybody'd like to look at it. We have the Highway Department work log, which is here. Memo from Brad. This is to recommend that the town of Ossipee purchases gravel products from the following 3 pits in Ossipee for the 2018 season. You propose Ossipee aggregates 25,000, Green Oaks at 10,000, and Evan Brothers at 30. Is that based on the product that each one actually produces and how much you use, or is that all pretty much the same?
It's all the same product, but it's more in the locality to where we're gonna be using it. Most of our gravel roads are closer to the Berry Pit here on Doors Corner Road. Obviously, the Ossipee aggregate's closer to the granite section, and the reason the Dow Pit, you know, the Green Oaks one is probably the lower one is because we only have a few roads near that area there, being like Walker Hill and possibly Upper Beecham and County Farm Road, and so we don't have as much of a need for material out of there. We try and keep the hauling costs as low as possible. They all offer the same product.
That's what I'm saying, they're all offering the same product.
Yep.
At the same, basically the same rate per ton?
It's close. It's not, they're not identical. They were probably within $1 or so of each other.
Okay.
But,
Anybody have any questions on this? And this is what you'll establish with your open purchase orders, basically.
that's it, yeah.
All right, I make a motion that we approve it.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Yeah, right now, actually, Ossipee aggregates
It has no gravel, so we're hauling from Evans's pit now down to Ossipee Corner. So it's kind of a tough situation.
We have another one of the timber reports, which is here. This is on map 18, lot 11. There was no timber cut. Make a motion to set.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Several quick intent to cut timber. This is on map 228, lot 1, Brownell Road. Taxes have been paid. I make a motion we approve it.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Another one, this is on map 230, lot 5, also on Brownell Road. Taxes have been paid. I make a motion we approve it. All in favor? Aye. Notice of intent to cut, this is on map 243, lot 2, map 244, lot 1. It's on Route 16, the taxes have been paid. I make a motion we approve it. All in favor? Aye. Notice of intent to cut wood, this is on map 245, lot 13, Duncan Lake Road. This is a supplemental. The taxes have been paid. I make a motion we sign it. All in favor? Aye. It is. It's a supplemental. Notice of intent to cut. This is on map 279, lot 20, Browns Ridge Road. Taxes have been paid. I make a motion we approve it.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Another closeout report on timber cut. They didn't cut any. This is on map 230, lot 5. Make a motion we sign it.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. This is again on map 228, lot 1. They didn't cut any timber. I make a motion we sign it.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. We have a water and sewer warrant authorizing the tax collector to collect $86,151.24. Make a motion we sign.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
That concludes that. Old business, 28,171, Brad, anything new?
Nope, nothing new on that.
Sidewalks?
Nothing new on that. Like I reported last week, they'll be start to work on the plans this week on it, down at White Mountain Survey, so I'll probably check in towards the end of the week or first of next week, see how those are coming, what they expect for a timeline to finish up, so we can, start planning the work.
Okay. And covered bridge is final design?
It's in final design. I spoke to you guys a little bit earlier about getting a construction easement out there to get access to this riverbank to do some work on, and had some final design, being proposed to DOT, and looking forward to moving forward with it.
Okay. Some of our fish hatcheries, where are we at on doing that, putting that out for RFP?
Steve and I just have to get together, and he did I think he did the specs if we were gonna do a bid, but my understanding is we're doing a request for proposals, so
Yeah.
it's just going to be a matter of getting that request.
Okay. Can you make sure that kind of happens this next week? Okay. And the White Pond boat ramp we just talked about. Anything else under old business? Anything, Brad, under old business? Got going?
Just waiting for the frost to drop out so we can pull the vans.
Yep. How are the roads?
We're getting potholed up pretty good because, we're getting the rain and them on them and stuff. We touch them up and a few days later they're back again, but we're chasing them.
Good. Second public input. Joe, please. I just wanted to say that this time of year, I get an opportunity to go out and visit the Board of Selectmen's meetings, just to say what we've done in the recent past. The legislature is obviously in a crossover period, so we get to see a lot of the issues in the contracts that kind of impact the community. So just for the record, I'm Joe Kenny, your executive counselor, represent 108 towns and 4 cities, 23 unincorporated areas. So from Claremont to Pittsburgh and Milton. A couple of things that are pressing this week is we have 2 public hearings, one for Associate Justice of the State Supreme Court, Patrick Donovan, And then secondly, we have a very important commissioner position that's the governor's nominated Sarah Stewart to the Natural and Cultural Resource Department. So that particular commissioner position oversees cultural affairs, but also forest and lands and state parks. So it's a very important position. And also this time of year, as the season gets going, I get a lot of different requests on just from that department in general. So the focus with regards to the council, it's been every 2 weeks we get a series of contracts that we vote on. And this, more recently, we'll probably be getting a lot of DOT contracts on resurfacing. I think in my district, there's about 500 miles that is going to be resurfaced this year. So I think it's the largest resurfacing job out of the 5 council districts. We continue to fight the opioid crisis, throwing a lot of money at it. I think Washington's mid-year is going to be giving us additional money for the recovery treatment enforcement side of that. And then, as you probably heard, we gave out a lot of safety school infrastructure grants. So those school districts are going to be looking at their projects that they've submitted in trying to upgrade the security and their IT infrastructure within some of the schools. So we have kind of a lot on the table. We have 2 other directorships that are up for reappointment. Forest and Lands, which is Brad Simpkins, and also Phil Bryce from State Parks. They're both up either to be renominated or the governor's potentially going to look out, for other new blood. And also we have the Commissioner of Department of Environmental Services. In the next 2 months, he'll be up for renomination, or the governor might bring him someone new. So I mentioned that because if there's any questions you have on these nominations, feel free to contact me. We do have a lot of volunteer positions within state government. Could be public access advisory board, could be a labor board, could be some other board in state government that you might have an interest in. So you just reach out to us and we can try to get you in touch with the governor's office. And the third function we really have is judicial appointments. So in the last year and a half with this new governor, I think we've had approximately 11 nominations and 9 confirmations. We have, a couple more that we're looking at, and then, obviously the North Country it needs more judges. That's just the bottom line. We need a little bit more judicial help in this part of the state, so we continue to advocate for that. So, but I love my job. It's exciting. It keeps me going. I'm on the road every day, Monday through Friday, and on the weekends sometimes. So I can be in Colebrook, could be at Claremont, could be here, wherever I might be. And generally, I work with the commissioners on a lot of constituent items and working with the towns and nonprofits to try to, solve some of their problems. So it's a lot of fun. It keeps me busy.
We don't see you very often, Joe, but we certainly use you a lot. And I say that with great admiration because you've been very, very helpful with us. The latest one, of course, was all of the work we're trying to get accomplished down at 28-171, which you being from Wakefield, kind of ironically, but both the last fatalities involved folks from your town who were killed in our town.
Right.
And you've been very, very helpful along with our reps in getting that finally on a plan that we believe is actually going to help. I learned a long time ago that when you're working with state government, the squeaky wheel gets the grease.
Absolutely.
That's the way it works, and that's not a bad thing, but you have very much been helpful in getting that squeak. So we appreciate your help.
Well, I'm here to
Thank
help
you.
out anyway. I hope you get my newsletters. And,
We do.
that lies out,
Yeah.
all the, lays out all the contracts. And sometimes you can copy an idea from another community, whatever that might be.
Absolutely.
And I
I
can't-
never believe in reinventing the wheel.
And I can't wait to cut that ribbon for that covered bridge.
I'm going to have to take 3 Valium to not speak my mind when the press is there that day. But I love that covered bridge. My great-grandmother lived literally within 300 yards of that bridge. I will guarantee if I hunted hard enough, I would find my initials carved in there someplace. I spent my childhood hanging out of that window of that bridge. But
I gotta be honest with you, if anybody thinks that state government doesn't need reform at times, they need to take and simply look at that project. It's been 10 years and $2 million, and the bridge still isn't across the river. One of the last meetings that Brad went to down in Concord, there were 32 different people there representing different agencies involved in that project. It boggles my mind. I don't mean to brag, but we do a lot of bridges ourselves, and I am convinced if this was a town-run project, it would have been done in less than 5 years at less than $500,000. And we're now 10 years and $2 million, and it's still not done. Yeah, it's the nature of the beast, and I wished I had some great ideas on how to fix it, but that project does not speak well for how state government works.
State and federal government.
State and federal government, absolutely. They certainly share some of the blame.
Yeah.
But it just becomes such a bureaucracy to try to get this bridge. My fear was, we actually penned a letter to them the last time, was that if they don't hurry up, the bridge is gonna rot before, I mean, we've rebuilt the bridge, and the bridge is gonna rot before it goes back across the river.
So just to add to that, taking the DOT commissioner the last 2 years to that bridge to take a look at it. And so guess we're gonna visit this time around as well as the town hall, and the White Pond, we're gonna visit that bridge to just touch it and say it's still there.
And I am cautiously optimistic that it's gonna be back across the river. We finally did clear the last DES hurdle, and now it's in the final design and it's supposed to go out to bid. Brad,
End of April.
it's supposed to go out to bid, and obviously that's something in your wheelhouse, so.
Sure. I will push any way I can. I've obviously tried to help in the past.
Oh, I know you have, I know you have.
It's just, when you get into environmental or historical resource permitting at the federal level, I don't know what they do
It
down
is
there,
so
but it takes so
frustrating.
long.
It's just so frustrating. But Anyway.
I think we promised Channel 9 in August of '99. I had just been appointed administrator. Rick shows up and says, "Oh, Channel 9's downstairs and wants to interview." I said, "You're in." And that's what they were saying. What's the process when you get going on this bridge? That was '99.
Wow.
They're waiting.
All
And
the
I
channel-
ask Brad every time I see it, "What's happening on the bridge?"
It's been a long process.
Yeah.
All the Channel 9 WMAR reporters have swapped out. There's a whole new.
Not surprised.
Thank you.
Yep, thanks.
Anybody else have anything under public input? Sure.
I actually just wanted to thank Brad and his guys, because the roads are actually in really good condition. I obviously spend a lot of time behind the wheel of my pickup on various towns and roads, and I'm pretty proud to say that we have the best roads in quite a distance from here, because I travel a lot.
We're pretty biased, and we believe so too.
Yeah.
And I continue to say this with Brad and Billy in particular, the drainage work in particular that they've done over the last several years is really paying dividends. These major rains that we had last summer, we used to, every time we have one of those, lose huge sections of roads. So we haven't lost a road now, and I don't know how long. That is all nothing more than preventative maintenance. Yeah, we get a typhoon or something, the spring lose 2 or 3, but I mean, it really is that preventative maintenance and cleaning ditches and putting in swales and culverts and, there was a period of time when I think the town was using our maintenance crew as a construction crew. And what happens is, not that they weren't capable of doing many of the construction jobs they were, but the problem is when you do that, you neglect the maintenance side. And it is that ditch cleaning and those culvert replacements and all of that stuff that, at the end of the day, really make a difference. I, like you, I mean, and I don't want to shoot at any other town, but you drive in any of the towns around here, on their secondary roads, Ossipee has nothing to be ashamed of when it comes to the condition of our roads. They're in very, very good shape, and I think they're getting better all the time. We're trying some different things with that chip seal, see how that works. We're one of the first to try it. It's the one that's been done on Doors Corner Road and Elm Street. And we'll see. If that is successful, that's going to extend the life of the pavement on many of our roads. So, thank you for that. We also have anything under public input?
I just wanted to announce the Tufton Borough Central School is going to have their school board meeting Governor Wentworth Regional School Board meetings tonight.
Tonight at the Tufton
The
Borough
Tufton
School.
Borough Central School,
Okay.
7 o'clock.
All right.
Yeah, I just wanted, I didn't know the protocol of this. I'm on the Old Home Week committee, and we were interested in doing like an old-fashioned street fair. The beginning of Old Home Week on the 23rd. We're just starting the works on it. They wanted to do it after the fishing derby. But I didn't know if we should come to you first or go, because we went to the police station and they said, because we wanted to shut down a little section of the road. And they said that that could be possible as long as you leave it passable, as long as nothing's in the road, so it could be passable if need be. But I just wanted to.
I would, on something like that, I would encourage you to work with the police department and the fire departments and the ambulance to make sure that they're all on board. Traditionally, what the Old Home Week Committee has done is once they have finalized their schedule, then they would submit a temporary event permit application with all of everything to go, all combined, for your fireworks and all of the rest of the stuff. The parade permit has to be done separately. That's with the police department as well. She issues that. Okay? So, I don't think, I wouldn't have any opposition to it. Anybody?
No problem.
So just work with the police department and fire departments and get it set up and then just do it all in the same application. Okay? Thank you. By way of announcement, I want to continue to announce this because the deadline is approaching. Town meeting did approve the extension of the veterans credit to all veterans. Everybody, all veterans have served at least 90 days active duty, which is all veterans, because you get more than 90 days just by doing your boot camp and your AIT. So historically, before this change, you had to have served between specific dates in order to be eligible for the veterans exemption. Town meeting changed that to all veterans, and it's a $500 tax credit, but the deadline for filing is April 15th in order to get it for this tax year. It doesn't mean you'll never get it again, but you'll have to wait until next year. So if you are a veteran or know of a veteran, please have them come in and fill out the form so that they can get that deduction off the taxes.
And I believe April 15th is a Sunday, which would automatically revert to the following Monday, the 16th.
Okay? Free dump day is coming up. April
21st.
April 21st is in conjunction with Earth Week. It's a free dump day where all of the fees are waived at the dump. We started a few years ago doing it again in the fall, which we will continue. So that one will be in October. But it is a great opportunity to take stuff into the dump, which normally it's charged for. Tires, refrigerators, all of that stuff. It's a great opportunity to clean out that garage, clean out the attic, and not be charged fees for it. Anything else we get coming up? Economic development meeting,
We just had that last week.
and it's once a month?
What's that?
Once a month?
It's once a month, every third Monday, at the Main Street Building at 6. Actually really starting to pick up. Highly recommend people to come and hang out and see what we're doing. We've got a lot coming up, obviously with the sidewalks, but we have other projects. We'll be coming back here to ask the selectmen for some support on that as well. Thank you.
Anybody have anything else? How's things at the library? Okay. Get your new commissioners, new trustees on board?
Yes.
Good?
Thank you.
Good. Anybody have anything else? If not, I make a motion we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you.